Australia, a vast continent and a diverse nation. Today, we know it as a thriving modern democracy. However, the history of governance on this land spans tens of thousands of years. It is not merely a story of British colonization, but an epic saga of survival, resistance, and evolution.
Pre-colonial era, indigenous governance, approximately 65,000 years ago to 1788. Many believe Australian history began in 1788, but this is a misconception. For at least 65,000 years before British arrival, this land was governed by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Social structure. They were not ruled by a single king or queen. Instead, there were over 250 distinct language groups and hundreds of clans across the continent. Law and justice. Their governance was rooted in the dreaming. This served as their spiritual constitution, passing down laws regarding land, marriage, and social conduct. Elders were the custodians of these laws. Land management. They did not view land as private property. They were the custodians of the land. Their governance system was perfectly balanced with the environment. In 1770, Captain James Cook claimed the East Coast for the British Empire. In 1788, the First Fleet arrived at Sydney Cove, marking the beginning of British rule. Terra Nullius. The British declared Australia terra nullius, nobody's land. This effectively stripped indigenous people of their sovereignty and established the direct rule of the British Crown. The penal colony. Initially, Australia was a place for British convicts. Early governors, like Arthur Phillip, held near absolute power, acting almost as autocrats. Self-governance. Following the gold rush of the 1500s, the population surged. Gradually, colonies like New South Wales, Victoria, and Queensland gained their own parliaments and responsible government, though ultimate authority still resided in London. Federation and the birth of the Commonwealth, 1901. January 1, 1901 marked the most significant turning point in Australian history. The 6 separate British colonies united to form the Commonwealth of Australia. The Constitution. A new constitution was drafted, blending the British parliamentary system, Westminster, with the U.S. federal system. The role of the Crown. While Australia emerged as an independent nation, it chose to remain a constitutional monarchy. This meant the British monarch remained the formal head of state. Modern governance, how it is ruled today. Present-day Australia is a constitutional monarchy and a federal parliamentary democracy. Its governance is divided into 3 tiers. Led by the Prime Minister, the government is typically formed by the Liberal National Coalition or the Labour Party. It manages national affairs like defense, foreign policy, and the economy. Australia has 6 states and 2 territories. Each has its own parliament and a premier. They are responsible for education, health, and policing. They handle community-level matters like local roads, waste management, and parks. A central question in Australian governance remains: why does the British monarch remain the head of state? The Governor-General. The monarch is represented in Australia by the Governor-General. While the role is largely ceremonial, the 1975 constitutional crisis, where the Governor-General dismissed Prime Minister Gough Whitlam, showed that the position holds significant reserve powers. The Republic movement. There is a strong movement advocating for Australia to become a republic, where an Australian citizen would serve as the head of state. The greatest challenge in modern Australian governance is the constitutional recognition of First Nations people. For a long time, they were excluded from the corridors of power. Today, initiatives like the Voice to Parliament represent ongoing efforts to ensure their participation in the nation's governance. The history of Australian governance is a journey of continuous evolution, from the 65,000-year-old traditions of the First Nations to British colonial law and today's multicultural democracy. Australia is no longer just a distant outpost of the British Crown. It is a sovereign, multifaceted nation shaping its own destiny. This history reminds us that governance is not just found in law books, but in the culture, land, and the enduring spirit of its people. Would you like me to expand on any specific section, such as the 1975 constitutional crisis or the details of the Indigenous legal system?
Thank you very much for watching this report. Please subscribe to the channel and leave your valuable feedback in the comments section. Stay well and stay healthy.